Niners have lost 3 in a row, and we're often reminded, look, they've been here before, which is true. 2021, they lost 4 in a row.
4 in a row.
They lost
One
3
coming
in a row
off of a
going
bye.
into the bye week.
Yep.
Went to the bye week, lost again.
Yep.
I flipped out, wrote them off. They went on a run. Last year, they were 3-4, went on a run. This year, 5-3, lost 3 in a row. They've been here before. This is what they do. Is it foolhardy to bank on that?
Okay. The problem with the 49ers have been here before crowd is not that the 49ers can't rebound, because I think that they can and probably will rebound. I think they're going to make the playoffs. Hell, they might be on a nice little win streak going into the playoffs. However, the whole point of this season really was to get that number 1 seed. What can you do differently this season than you did the 2 seasons prior? And how can you not hit a wall going into the playoffs? Well, when you have a bye week in the middle of a season, the way the 49ers have had the last couple of years, and you come out of that bye week and it feels like you have to play playoff football for 9 weeks in a row just to get into the playoffs in a good standing, it eventually war of attrition happens, especially to a team that has a bunch of guys that are contributors that are around 30 or older. So when that's happening, that number 1 seed is extremely important. So my concern is not, can the 49ers turn it around? Yes, they can turn it around. My expectation is that they do turn it around. We're going to hype them up, feel really good going into the playoffs. But what happens once they get there and they get towards the tail end of the playoffs and they've had to do it 13 weeks in a row? Can they fight through that wall? Because that wall has been there the last couple of years, and that's ultimately what stopped them from getting there. And at this point, even if they quote unquote turn it around, I think the number 1 seed is almost completely out of the question.
Yeah. So there's something different about this team. Like in 2021, they turned it around. How? Well, they had this brilliant idea to put Deebo Samuel at running back.
Mm-hmm.
It changed everything. And all I know is that Mike McDaniel was on that coaching staff. So maybe it was Kyle's idea, but it feels like something that Mike McDaniel would have thought of. And then last year, they were in a rut. And instead of Kyle Shanahan like thinking of the next wrinkle, like McDaniel or whoever did with Deebo moving to running back the year before, he traded for McCaffrey. And it worked so well, it was like a cheat code. So that changed everything last year. What's going to change everything this year? Chase Young. The defense is going to get him out of this rut. So, some health on offense and an addition to the defense. That to me is my question. It feels like you don't have D'Amico, his positive enthusiasm, his emotion and energy to bring things, like to turn things around. You don't have McDaniel's genius and intellect and creativity. You got Chase Young. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of what Steve Wilks and Chase Young are going to cook up together. It didn't work with Randy Gregory, who's not bad. I don't know.
He was playing pretty good.
Randy
Gregory. In spot chances, but I think he was playing pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be the difference. They always come up with something, and I feel like they'll be able to do it. The other thing that I hear a lot that I kind of want to talk about as well is I keep hearing, well, until the 49ers lose with their whole host of players, I'm not worried. And I think it's a flawed way of looking at it, because the 49ers rarely have their whole host of players. You've got Trent Williams, who's missed at least 2 games every year for the last 8 years. George Kittle hasn't even missed his games yet. Like, he's pretty much almost guaranteed to miss 1 or 2 at some point. Debo's missed a couple. We'll see if he's even back after the bye. Hopefully he is. But players miss games. It's the way the NFL works, and it's definitely the way that it's worked for the 49ers. So when that happens, you have to find a way to win. You can't rely on everybody being healthy for the whole second half of the season into the playoffs. If that's what you're waiting for, and that's what you think it's going to take to win, then the 49ers aren't going to win, because that's just not going to happen.
No. I'm really skeptical about this team this year. They shouldn't have lost these 3 games in a row. They weren't that beat up. They were going against teams that were beat up. No Justin Jefferson, no Deshaun Watson, no Nick Chubb. You got no excuse. No excuse at all. This team feels different. It feels like it's been here before in that sense, but it's older. is older, and I don't know. D'Amico isn't walking through that door. Mike McDaniel isn't walking through that door. We're going to talk about
It
them a little later.
it is older. It definitely is. I do. I really think this team's going to turn it around. I think they're too talented not to. Kyle Shanahan's not perfect, but I do think he's a good head coach. I don't think it's enough to win a Super Bowl though, and that's really all that matters. When we say turn it around, making it to the playoffs and finishing with the number 2 or number 3 seed is not. That's not what the aim is here. It's to win a Super Bowl, and I just don't think it's going to be. I think they're going to run out of steam again, and that's the issue that I have.